Here's how to make your own paper out of used paper, effectively making this an infinite paper glitch. Here's all of the equipment you will need listed on the screen and also in the description. You can come back to this portion if you need to refresh your memory. Here's me blending pieces of shredded paper and water into a fine pulp. You can use a hand blender or a food processor for this. Alternatively, if you don't have a blender, if you boil it on low heat for long enough, it will become more pulp-like. Next, I'm transferring the pulp into a larger container and adding more water. The amount of water will affect how thin or thick the paper layers will be. I'm using this DIY mold and deckle to form paper into A4 size sheets. I made this from 2 photo frames with a fishnet glued to one of them. Later I started using only the mold and no deckle because I found it easier. My technique is to spread out the paper pulp evenly using my hands and this kind of flapping motion. It may not be the most effective, but it worked for me. Next, I'm transferring the mold onto a dry towel and sucking out the water using a sponge. And make sure to dry, especially around the edges of the mold, because it's the part that tends to get damaged the most. This first sheet turned out very thin, so I ended up adding another layer and then left it to dry. To add some pizzazz to my paper, I added dried flower petals on top. As you can see, my sweatshirt gets progressively worse and more covered in paper. I added another sheet on top and the flowers ended up getting incorporated really nicely into the paper thanks to that. You can make colored paper by adding any kind of dye. I used what I had at hand, so I made pink paper with beetroot juice and yellow with turmeric. Here's me being impatient and drying using a blow dryer, which I don't recommend because the paper will probably become wavy and wrinkled because of this. Leaving it out to dry is definitely the better option. Here's a color comparison of the pink and non-dyed paper. You can slightly see the difference, but the yellow definitely turned out more vibrant. So that's a lesson for me in the future to add more beetroot juice. Using heavy books, I'm pressing the sheets to make sure they aren't wrinkled, and I'm cutting up any rough edges. Although I do think they add a certain charm and homemade feel. Now all that is left to do is decorate my very own paper. I'm drawing forget-me-nots on the sheet that has these forget-me-not seeds submerged inside. So I'm basically marking which seed is in which sheet of paper by drawing the flowers. If you do this, you can later plant the paper piece and maybe they will grow. If I do end up planting these papers, I'll make an update video on whether or not I managed to grow flowers out of them. Because I'm no gardener and I don't know about this kind of stuff. I just thought it'd make a cool craft, and I don't know about the logistics about whether or not flowers grow out of these. The yellow paper has sunflower seeds inside because the color matches, so I thought it'd be cute. And sunflowers are my mom's favorite flowers, so I'm gonna give this paper to her as a gift. This last one, which has no coloring, has lavender seeds, so I'm drawing lavender, obviously. So that's all. See you and thanks for watching. Take care. I just thought it'd make a cool craft, and I don't know about the logistics about whether or not flowers grow out of these. The most important thing is to try, I guess. And hopefully with good intentions it'll grow nicely, you know.